right, it's 7 o'clock now. Will everyone take their seats and we'll get started? All right, thank you all for coming. I'll call this meeting of Sandwich Council to order on Section 3. I apologize in advance for everybody, but we'll do the best that we can. It's great to see so many people here after the council meeting tonight. Just make a note that Councillor Haynes is traveling. He won't be sitting with us tonight, and then he'll return at the next council meeting. We spent the last week at the Union of BC Municipalities in Vancouver as delegates. I certainly had a good time. Probably speak on behalf of the rest of the council members that were here. We had a great time networking with our peers from across the community, and the workshop was very valuable, and we certainly got to participate and vote on a lot of resolutions that will be forwarded to the province for consideration. This is what this organization exists for. It's a membership body of all of the municipalities of British Columbia, and we come together with a single voice to advance the cause for our citizens. So it was my pleasure to go to that event, and I had a great time, and I look forward to the one next year. So tonight's council meeting is in the usual two parts. We have a regular council meeting followed by a committee of the whole. I think most people are probably here for the committee of the whole. You come to speak on 4007 and 4011 Rainbow Street, the EDPA item for 4655 Dover Bay. You can hold your comments, and I ask you to come to the microphone for that part of the meeting. I will announce it's.
Could you speak up, please? We can't hear you back here.
Sorry, let me put the microphone closer. Is that better?
That's
better.
Okay. So let me just repeat what I said for everybody. So if you come to speak or to listen to the items that are on the Committee of the Whole agenda, 4007 and 4011 Rainbow Street, and the item on Dover Bay, if you could hold your comments until I announce the Committee of the Whole, and then I will ask for public comment at that time. There is a section for public input for the rest of the agenda on our bylaws and on resolutions for adoption, that's E, and recommendations from committees, F, and reports from members of council. If you want to speak to those items, when I call for public input, please come forward and state your name and your address for the record, and then we'll deal with business as such. So with that, I'd like to start the council meeting with a delegation of the Canadian Heritage Arts Society, who's going to give us a 10-minute presentation on their proposal. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, councillors. I appreciate this opportunity to speak and present the concept that we're about to talk about. I'm Ron Schuster. I'm the College Director of the Canadian College of Performing Arts, which is the operating entity that is owned by the Canadian Heritage Arts Society. I'd like to start off by introducing Marguerite Rowe, our president, who's going to speak a little bit about the history and background of our college, and then we'll continue.
Your Worship and councillors, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak this evening. I am the president of the Canadian Heritage Arts Society, and we are the owner of the Canadian College of Performing Arts. Canadian Heritage Arts Society is a registered charity. It's a not-for-profit society. And the Canadian College of Performing Arts is also a not-for-profit private post-secondary institution. It is accredited with the Private Career Training Institution agencies of BC. It has an interesting history. It was founded by Jacques Lemay and Janice Dunning. The college was founded 18 years ago. And as many of you may know, Jacques Lemay is known across this country as he has been the artistic director of the opening ceremonies for the Calgary Olympics. In 1988, he has done the Canada Games as well, the 1994 Victoria Commonwealth Games, and the 1997 Special Olympics World Winter Games. He had a vision for college for performing arts, he and his wife Janice, and with his tremendous expertise, he was able to establish this wonderful college. Our mission as a college, or as really the Canadian Heritage Arts Society, I should say, is really to offer awareness and artistic appreciation of the public at large through artistic appreciation of the public at large through the performing arts. And we do that in a number of ways, and I'll explain a few of them to you. We also preserve and promote heritage arts and culture. And then through the Canadian College of Performing Arts, we provide instruction and training in the performing arts. We have a number of community outreach programs. We're very proud of this. The students and faculty support these programs. And to give you some examples, our community outreach programs have benefited over 8,000 members of our community, many being seniors and youth, in the following ways. We have lifelong community bonds that have reformed enriched lives, community pride, and successful collaborations as a result of these community outreach programs. We also support other charities and also support with our volunteer skill development. Our outreach offerings are highly accessible to the public through free of charge or by donation events. And we support, the support of our outreach programs has been endorsed by the Victoria community when they voted our society the Greater Victoria's favorite not-for-profit in the 2013 M Awards. So we have a significant role we play not only as a college but also preserving and promoting arts in the community. And I'll turn this over now to you.
I'll speak a little bit about the college itself. To give you an idea, we have 9 full-time staff, 24 faculty, 90 students approximately attend each year, and our volunteer database right now is running with about 50 volunteers. Moving to Saanich, I know we would have a lot more. So we also have an incredible success. For 18 years, this college has been running out of Oak Bay, and we've now have alumni working pretty well across Canada, all major stages. We had 4 at Stratford this year. We have casting directors that are working in New York and on Broadway. We have recording artists. There's so many success stories about this college. It really has made an impact across the country. So it's a national jewel that has paid back to the country. We want to talk to you about this partnership because we've been looking for a while for a new home, and we've been housed, like as I mentioned, for 17 years in Oak Bay. We've outgrown our space, and our facility search over the last 5 to 10 years has led us to 6 final options, one of which is located here in the municipality of Saanich, and that's what we'd like to talk about today. There's an opportunity to develop a performing arts and new media center right in Glanford Avenue. We have an accepted offer on this particular property, and we are basically working on some of the subject twos and looking for municipal support to perhaps realize this as a reality. The Arts Center would be an invaluable asset to the municipality of Saanich, filling a void for performing and media arts and giving Saanich an arts facility that they can contribute to the rest of the Greater Victoria community. Here's an image of the facility that is located there right now. It is basically being used by a call center, so it's being used as office space and a bailiff of operation, but it would meet our needs quite well. I know the idea of a performing arts center has been talked about before by the municipality of Saanich, and I can see from your occupation community master plan, your strategic plan, that you really do endorse performing arts and arts in general, that your comprehensive arts policy is very clear about where your priorities are, and we totally align with that. I know that we'll be able to bring a lot to this community, starting with economic benefits of, we estimate about $3 million. We have in your letters of support that we have here with us today, verified by the Greater Victoria Economic Development Committee. There's so many benefits that will help this community out, improve quality of life, community engagement, a place for the community to gather and really work together, creating a stronger, a more active community, improved health and happiness for Saanich citizens, because it will be a place where we celebrate the arts and get together to stimulate thought and discussion. What we were looking for from the municipality of Saanich, it was a number of things that we've presented prior to this, but at this stage we're going to be putting an application in now that we understand the process a little bit better for an interest-free loan of $250,000 to assist with the purchase of the building. At this point, when we purchase the building, the present leases would cash flow it until we're ready to move in 2017. And at that time, we would need to raise funds to renovate, to meet our needs and potentially move forward. So we would probably be talking to the municipality for support and help at that point. It's very important that we show municipal support because we've already spoken with the federal government, Cultural Spaces Program, and they're quite on board. In order to trigger that funding, they always insist on finding that other levels of government are behind the project as well. So we want to start in our home bed here and seeking your approval and support. So I just want you to imagine for a quick minute about what that might mean. You know, right now, a citizen from Saanich hears about a great production that's happening in town, and rather than have to drive downtown, they go around the corner, just walk to this little performing arts center that's right here in Saanich. The community gets together. Here's an image of our annual Christmas hamper making party where we work with Salvation Army. Community members, they got together. The same thing would happen here, working on all kinds of activities, celebrating volunteerism and creative activities. New works could be created, so there could be conferences. There's all kinds of festivals that could be national in scope because of our connections. The center could easily be housed for not only art performances, but a number of community members, and many of those letters of support are in there showing other arts groups that would be very interested in being part of this facility and this project. And festivals, other festivals could be moved over there. We've housed Celt Fest, we've been a Fringe Theatre Festival in our Oak Bay location. I think we'd stimulate a lot of activity here. I'm meeting with your Parks and Rec director this week, hopefully, and talking about possibly working with programming such as teen camps, all kinds of things. The imagination could let you go from there. I'd like to turn the floor over to Dan Parker, who's one of our Archie Dorothy is here. Dorothy, come join us as well. One of our parents of one of our alumni, and I've got a couple other people who'll just say a couple things.
Your Worship and Council, it's great to be here tonight, and my name's Dorothy Hawes, and I'm a resident in Saanich, and have been for many, many years, and actually my husband and his father were farmers in the Blenkinsop family for many years. I'm also a school teacher at St. Michael's University School in Saanich, and I also happen to be a parent of a student who is currently studying at the Canadian College of Performing Arts. I remember many years ago when Jack and Janice were just getting this college off the ground. I actually hosted a party in my home because they were looking for funding to get the project off the ground, and little did I know that I guess she would have been about 1-year-old baby at that time, would be a student at the school that many years later. So it's really exciting to see how the college has grown. But I'm even more excited to think about what it might bring to Saanich, and I think it would be wonderful if we could welcome this opportunity of the college coming to Saanich. I know that you've supported the arts, and it's well worth investing in. So I really would love to encourage you to look very seriously at supporting the Canadian College of Performing Arts. I've met so many wonderful young people now through my daughter's association with the school. They have a fantastic staff, and these kids are really well trained, and it's really the preeminent performing school in Canada, and I just think it would be fantastic to have this in Saanich. So I hope that you will really look positively at this proposal. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Dorothy. I'd like to introduce Dan Parker, property owner, local businessman.
Can I just, thank you so much for your presentation. Could you wrap it up? There's 10-minute limits, and I'd like to honor that. And,
I'll be quick.
For the benefit of everyone that will follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Very quickly, I own a property, 759 Van Allen. It's around the corner from this site. Currently, we get one of the people who's one of the homeless. He has a motorhome, which he parks and plugs into our power there so he can act as security. We need some activities at nighttime as well as during the daytime. This is a viable economic opportunity to provide not only an art structure, but to enhance a community at a very minimal cost, and I urge support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to open up to council to ask any questions if you have any. Councilor Dermott.
You're a nice company.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for the presentation. It's certainly an intriguing and potentially exciting opportunity. Just for the members of the audience, so they know, this is a presentation to council, and it is not a time when council will make a decision or debate things of that nature. It will be the start of the process where council will look, and if there's an interest, and I hope there is, pursuing further, then it involves reports from staff and all sorts of things of that nature. But again, thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you very much for the time.
Any other questions from council? All right, seeing none, thank you so much for your presentation.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the adoption of minutes. Could you please introduce that, Madam Clerk?
The adoption of minutes are for the September 14th council meeting and the September 14th committee of the whole meeting.
Call the question, all in favor? Opposed? None opposed, motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Move to the next item. Please introduce that for us, Madam Clerk.
Okay, the next items are related to an upcoming public hearing. This is first reading of the zoning bylaw 2003, amendment bylaw 9349 to increase the permitted gross floor area for all commercial uses to 585 meters squared.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed, motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Again related
Next item,
to
please, Madam Clerk.
Again, related to a upcoming public hearing, this is first reading of the zoning bylaw, amendment bylaw 9351 to rezone from zone RS6 to zone RS4 for proposed subdivision to create one additional lot.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed, motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item, please.
And again, for upcoming public hearing, this is first reading of the zoning bylaw, amendment bylaw 9353 to create a new zone CD 4DR, a comprehensive development deep road.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councilor Durham is opposed. The motion carries. Next item, please.
This next item is first reading of zoning bylaw amendment 9354 to rezone zones A1 rural to zone M5 food processing zone to a new zone CD 4DR comprehensive development DF road, zone RS6 and zone RS4 in order to construct a mixed-use development.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councilor Durham shows opposed. The motion carries. Next item, please.
Okay, the final bylaw is first reading of the official community plan bylaw, amendment bylaw 9355 to make proposed amendments to the streamside and environmental development permit area atlas.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So that completes the bylaw section of our agenda tonight, and we're going to move to public inputs on items E, F, and G. If you'd like to speak on computer workstations for police, the Municipal Finance Authority borrowing, item CRD Fairness and Transparency Advisor, and the finance audit personnel standing for the item. You're invited to come to the microphone, give your name and address, and you've got 5 minutes to speak. If you'd like to speak to the other items I mentioned earlier, please wait until the committee roll. For those items, are there any members of the public who wish to come forward? Calling for a second time? Calling for a third time on public input? Okay, seeing none, thank you, and we'll move to the next item, E1. Please introduce that first, Madam Clerk.
Yes, this is a report from the Chief Constable recommending that Council award RFP 3315 for computer workstations for police to Island Key Computers for an estimated cost of $205,440.
Discussion. Seeing no discussion from council, I'll call the question on the recommendation. All in favor? Opposed? If not opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Let's move to the next item.
This next item is a report from the Director of Finance recommending that Council approve the resolution to authorize long-term borrowing with the Municipal Finance Authority 2016 spring debt issue for the project specified in the report that was circulated with the agenda.
Move the recommendation.
Second. Any discussion? Councilor Plant, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just wondering if the Director of Finance is here tonight. I know we've got a busy room, so if not, then I'll just ask you through you, Mr. Mayor, perhaps to our CAO. Several residents in the last week have come up to me and said, why is the municipality borrowing money? Don't we tax and that's how we pay for things? So I think I know the answer to that, but I'm wondering if for the purposes of the people at the meeting tonight, you could explain briefly, Mr. Laidlaw, how a municipality goes about to borrow for projects as opposed to just charging the taxes needed at that particular time.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Typically these projects are projects that are over a long period of time, and borrowing takes place to be able to match the funding for the project and its lifespan over the long term, so that the future residents pay for it as well, and that those costs are shared and they're not incurred in the year that they happen to be spent. So it's a way of matching the budget on an ongoing basis to make sure there's a flow of budgetary expenditures, which is relatively equal.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call a question on the recommendation. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next item, again, F1. Would you please introduce that for us, Madam Clerk?
Okay. This is a recommendation from the September 9th, 2015 CRD Core Area Liquid Waste Management Committee meeting that Saanich Council provide feedback on the scope and application of the role of the CRD Fairness and Transportation Advisor.
Councillor German?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At that meeting and earlier, the CRD Core Area Liquid Waste Committee, or the committee dealing with the sewer project, decided that they would need to hire a fairness and transparency advisor to oversee the project and ensure that processes involved were indeed fair and open and transparent to the public. When the terms of reference suggested, and suggested in part by the candidate who was successful, came to the meeting, there was an indication that the Fairness and Transparency Advisor should rule on all aspects of the project, some of which might be considered and decided upon at the municipal level, as has already been done this time around in processes of site selection and so forth. My feeling at the time was that that was something that municipalities should be able to comment on before it was accepted. In the case of Saanich, we do have a majority of council at the CRD board, and also a majority of council are on that particular committee. For many other municipalities, they have only one representative, their mayor or designate. And so my suggestion at the meeting was that this be referred out to municipalities for comment if they had any concerns about the fact that a Fairness and Transparency Advisor hired by the CRD, terms of reference established by the CRD, might be ruling on municipal actions taken as that were in some way part of the liquid waste treatment project. So that's why it's here. Thank you.
Councillor Bryce, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Following on what Councillor German has said, I would suggest, everyone's had a chance to read it, and many of us are on the CRD, that perhaps the most appropriate motion would be to receive this and state that should the CRD Fairness and Transparency Advisor have reason to engage with Saanich on properties within Saanich, that there would be cooperation with that office.
Someone like to second that motion? Seconded by Councillor Brown. Further discussion? Councillor Plant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Perhaps I can ask through you back to the mover now. Is that then interpreting this as a C instead of an A or B? Is the options? A being that the Transparency and Fairness Advisor could look at only, couldn't look at local governments, which would be A. B, which would only look at CRD processes, or C, we would consider on an ad hoc basis, given each circumstance separately.
The
Mr. Mayor.
Please.
The committee looked at the process and embraced the process. It scooped in, as Councillor German said, a reference that there may be reason to interact with the municipality. My motion just simply says that
should, in the fullness of time, when that is all unfolding in the period ahead, that if the Fairness and Transparency Advisor was to make contact with officials here at Saanich, that Saanich officials would know that this council would support there being good cooperation between the two.
I thank you for your answer. I'm not sure if I understand it to be an A or a B then, because I see that we're being asked to give feedback on the scope and application, and there's a recommendation to support A. I'm getting yours as being kind of a quasi third option.
Don't read anything more into my motion necessary. If I'm overcomplicating it, let's go with the game plan. Unless you've got concerns about it, I basically am just saying let it unfold and be cooperative as it goes. But if that isn't something that meets with the pleasure of council, I'm prepared to alter that.
Okay, thank you. Having heard those answers, I'm not sure I'm going to support that because I would be more inclined to support B. I think the CRD Fairness and Transparency Advisor should keep their scope of what they're looking at the CRD level, for them to come back to Saanich and potentially conduct investigations or even reviews of process. If we don't, I mean, what you've suggested I think is well-intentioned, but I think the opportunity for them to come in and do an investigation without Saanich's approval is very much the way it could be. I'm saying the CRD Fairness and Transparency person should stick to the CRD. So that, and I said that at the sewage meeting, I say it today. So as much as I appreciate that we want to work together, I think this person needs to stick to the CRD.
Councillor Drummond, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly understand Councillor Plant's concerns, and I had some that were similar in nature. I'm not opposed necessarily to having the Fairness and Transparency Advisor look at issues that have occurred at the municipal level, but I am concerned about the process that would be carried out under. We don't want to get in a situation where suddenly we find in a report to the CRD or in the newspaper, in the media, or whatever, the Fairness and Transparency Advisor has decided that Saanich is doing things inappropriately. If there is going to be, and I would, after this motion, whichever way it goes, I would propose a second motion. If there is going to be involvement with Saanich, I think we should expect a protocol where the Fairness and Transparency Advisor contacts Saanich staff. Staff can make council aware, and there is a proper procedure of consultation and involvement, and not simply working independently without input from Saanich staff or council. Thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree. You know, going down this process, we want to ensure total openness and transparency. I think this Fairness Advisor, we had one previously, but this one is very specific around some of these things. I wouldn't want us to be seen as not cooperating if she gets a complaint about something around Saanich. I think the amendment just, or the motion just asks that she contact our staff and there be some sort of protocol established so that there's a working relationship. But I sure wouldn't want someone in the public to say that Saanich isn't transparent and open on this particular project, and the Fairness Advisor needing some information from us.
Can I call on the clerk to read back the motion to us? Where we are?
I may need some assistance from Councillor Bryce on reading this back, but that we'd be receiving the report, and the Fairness and Transparency Advisor, should they have a reason to engage with Saanich, that they contact us. But again, Councillor Bryce.
The wording that I was suggesting would say it's
microphone, please.
Thanks.
No sense of ownership on it, just trying to sort of scoop together here. I've got that should the CRD Fairness and Transparency Advisor have reason to engage with Saanich on properties within Saanich, that there will be cooperation with that office.
Councillor Drummond.
Thank you. If it's suitable to the mover, I would add an amendment that that Saanich Council also wishes a protocol to be established determining how the Fairness and Transparency Advisor would interact with staff and ultimately with the council. So I shall move that as amendment.
All right, second by Councillor Plant. Any discussion on that amendment? Seeing none, I'll call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Opposed? The amendment's carried unanimously. Now we're back to the main motion. Any more discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call the question on the motion then. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Councillor German, did you have a further motion, or was that captured by your amendment?
No, that captured it. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, so with that, we'll move to the last item on the regular portion of the council, item G1. And as this report's coming from Councillor Murdoch, I'll look to him to introduce it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't prolong things. There's a room full of people here who came to speak to issues far more important than my membership on a committee. I could probably have been accused in the past of writing a memo that was all about me, but this time it's actually true. You've all had a look at it. 4 months ago, I wrote to Mayor Atwell to say that after 6.5 years as a member of the Finance, Audit and Personnel Committee, and just about every other member of that committee and just about every staff member that sits on that committee or attends that committee have moved on, the time has come for me to do the same. The mayor and I met on June 29th to discuss it, and I left that meeting with the feeling that he'd accepted my resignation from the committee. I was quite surprised, of course, then to see the copy of the minutes from